Welcome to the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Elfz Network. We are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns fans, bring you all the latest in Browns news. Tune in now. Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Fanatical Elfz Network. I am your host, John Suchan tonight, and we are joined by Steve Gill, a great contributor to our Fanatical Elfz Network. Hello, Steve. How are you?
Doing great. A little hot down here in Nashville, but yeah, the heat cranked up finally.
Did you get some good rain over the last day or two?
Sunday and just a sprinkle today. It's probably going to rain Sunday because right now we've got down southeast of here in Manchester, we have one of the largest outdoor music festivals. It's called Bonnaroo.
Ooh.
Got Goo Goo Dolls, Kendrick Lamar, Sheryl Crow, Paramore.
Ooh.
And it usually rains down
Oh,
there.
wow.
We're expecting about 80,000. It'll now become the 5th largest city in the state of Tennessee. It's all on a farm.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Campers, tents, RVs.
Well, I've just been so happy this last week. I've been talking about it the other podcast, but we finally got some solid rain here in the Buckeye State. We have been drier than all get out for 3 weeks. It didn't rain here, and so
Wow,
nice to see the. I felt like I was back in Kansas. I think I've said that a couple times on other shows. And Kansas, they've been getting more rain out there than we have here in Ohio. So it's been nice to have the rain. But now it was a beautiful day here up in the Buckeye State. And we are excited. Again, we're summertime, folks. And the Browns have just finished up mini camp. And we've got lots to talk about. Steve is you're a contributor to. You want to tell everybody again where you contribute?
ClevelandSportsTalk.com.
And you also have an additional blog.
Hopefully next week I'll have my own blog. My own podcast going, Dog Pound South.
We are excited to include that in our group of podcasts. We've got your show starting up. We've got my own show, the Johnny Cleveland podcast. Rod Bloom will be he'll be coming out tomorrow morning with his Browns Blitz. Joel, the left guard, and Elliot both have the football philosophy and rocket science. And Joel has his What the Elf was that?
Elf?
Just love that. He has those segments, the Borg, and then my favorite part, the Raider, or not the Raven hate segment.
The Raven hate.
We just jump on how much
we want to encourage that.
Yes. But what do you? I like your background tonight, Steve. I noticed we have the Fanatical Elf in the background. You're at your home. That's a great sight to see. Speaking of logos,
that was a banner given to me by my wife.
Excellent choice. Good job, wife.
And the autograph helmet over here behind me has got Jim Brown, Marion Motley, and autographs
Excellent.
on it.
Oh, wonderful.
And then that was a helmet given to me by a late friend of mine. That's an actual
cool.
game helmet.
Yeah, one of the game helmets. I'm impressed, Steve, that you can do this because I do this and I try to point and I have no sense of direction. So I don't know. I know I have some. I have a black curtain behind me.
The bookcase is there, and my other computer is there.
Well, so let's get into this a little bit. It's been a week. We've gotten it out of, well, I guess the first thing I want to ask you, since we're talking about logos and then the Fanatical Elf Show, we are dedicated to the elf. But this last week, the Brownies did introduce, again, their new, voted on by the people, the fans, the new bulldog or bull, the dog logo. I know in last night's
cartoon dog. Yay.
the fanatical or the football philosophy and rocket science, the Village Elliott talked about the Browns originally being, or the Canton Bulldogs originally.
Bulldogs.
Yeah. So what's your take on the whole new logo with the Browns and the dog?
I don't care. You know, I'm passionate about the elf because Art Modell hated it and wanted to get rid of it. So that's why every Browns backer group, when the team came back in '99, incorporated it somewhere on their T-shirt and logo. The only logo I care about is that one.
Yes.
Let's keep it clean, keep it original. But you know, if you're into the merchandising aspect of it, that's great. I mean, you know, more new stuff to buy.
And if you listen to the old, our episode the other night, go back and listen to some of it with the What the Elf Was That. Joel was very pointed. He went around, he showed the description of what all these little side or things that are
part. They put that out. The team put that out.
We were just having a good laugh. It's like, come on, man. We're in the dog days of we're not dog days of summer yet, but we're in that in-between stage where we're going to try to eat up as much time with our fans. So we're after the mini camp, and I came out with an article today on Dog Pound Daily about three breakout candidates. Included in that were Elijah Moore, Jerome Ford, and Martin Emerson. So and Martin Emerson, in the article I wrote, and if you go take a do some Googling on Martin Emerson and some what other groups like PFF and some other blogs are saying that Martin he's really good, and he did really well. And I think you and I saw that last year. Now he's in a new system with Jim Schwartz. What are your takes on those three guys? And let's just start with Martin and Emerson.
Well, first of all, I live in SEC country. I had never heard of him, and he played for Mississippi State. But you're covering some of the best wide receivers in the country when you're playing in the SEC. That's just a fact. Besides Ohio State, which is now and still is wide receiver every team in the SEC has got a couple great wide receivers. So I thought he held his own last year. He was thrown at a lot because he was the rookie, and I think he did extremely well. Jerome Ford, I am looking forward to him getting more touches. I know Elliott has really put down the fact that he had like 12 carries last year.
I think he actually had
increase.
He had
or 18 or what?
He had 8 carries for 12 yards.
Okay. Well, he's going to have a lot more.
But he also had 30. He had 30 kickoffs for 273 yards. So we've seen he went for about 48 yards on one of them, and we've seen that.
Finally put him in as the kick returner. I was calling for that since the preseason, and every article I wrote, can we try Jerome Ford at kick returner, please?
Yeah.
And he proved it. I'm looking forward to him. Stump Mitchell is really high on him, and Stump Mitchell knows running backs. As for Elijah Moore, I have loved him since he played at Ole Miss. I like how they're moving him around. He is going to be a serious matchup problem no matter where they put him. The defense is going to have to account for him. And then also Cooper, and then Njoku, and then Chubb or Ford coming out of the backfield. So I can't wait for this offense.
Steve, with that in mind, you mentioned 4, 5, 6 guys on offense, and we know there's only one football. And I know this isn't Odell Beckham Jr. and this isn't Jarvis Landry anymore, but there will be a point, and Elijah Moore, give him as an example. I know he's only coming into his 3rd year, but he wanted kind of out of New York.
Yeah.
And I guess my concern just in general, maybe it's not Elijah Moore, maybe it's one of these other guys you just mentioned, but someone's not going to be happy. Now, how they carry that and how they behave will be interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, a reporter asked Amari Cooper that question. There's only one football. What happens if it decreases your chances of getting catches. And he said, if we're winning, it doesn't matter. I mean, he is like
Steve, that's
Nick
Amari
Chubb.
Cooper, but that's Amari Cooper and that's Nick Chubb. And those are the two. I totally agree with that and what you're saying about Amari Cooper and Chubb. I'm more concerned again still about Elijah Moore because he's young, he's coming in a new system. And while
look who his quarterbacks were last year. I mean, come on. He's going to be catching passes from Deshaun Watson. I think he's very happy about that. Winning takes all that crap away. I am not worried about anybody griping. I think they're all on the same page. It was a very upbeat, positive, mandatory OTA. No fights, no arguments. Everything moves smoothly from what I saw. Like I said, everybody seems to be on the same page. I'm happy.
Let me ask you this about the cornerbacks.
I'm still only sipping, though.
Martin Emerson. We like he's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Sipping.
Martin Emerson with the cornerbacks. I heard again the Village Elliott and Joel talking about this a little bit about they were describing the defenses in the AFC North, and Elliott went through and did some detailed look back at some things with depth. And actually, I think the Bengals were last in his rankings as far as defense. The Ravens
they
were
lost
second.
Both their safeties.
Well, I guess the question is, they came back to talking about the Brownies, and Elliott talked about the weakness and his concern with the cornerbacks. Now we just talked about Martin Emerson. You also have Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward, which you and I both have probably written about and talked about even on this show in the past. I'm not real high on. I mean, the fact those two guys with injuries, concussions, I guess could the Browns still invest more money in finding another cornerback for more depth? And are you concerned in that area going into the season?
No, not really. They'll bring in Rodney McLeod, the number 3 safety. He can cover. You know, he knows Schwartz's system. You got Cameron Mitchell, the rookie, who played a lot of slot in college.
Yes.
Then you got AJ Green. I am completely happy with AJ Green. What I want to see, the talent is there. I just want to see how Schwartz is going to bring them together so we don't have any more finger pointing and missed assignments like we did last year. Last year was a mess. And you saw it late game 2, where it all came to fruition against the Jets.
Quickly. I mean,
nobody knew where they were supposed to be.
That whole thing happened within a blink of the eye. It just
a minute 30.
It was a minute something. Yeah. I was there with many fans in the stands, and it was stunning what happened.
It just summed up what was going to happen for the rest of the year. Now you got a true free safety in Thornhill. Delpit will play more up to the line of scrimmage like he's used to doing. I want to get into training camp and see some preseason games. Like I said last week, game number 3 at Philadelphia. That's going to be your dress rehearsal. It's all going to be vanilla defense and offense, but you can see a few things of how what they're going to do. And they're going up against the best team in the NFC, the Eagles. So
yes,
Browns fans will find out fast what impact Jim Schwartz has on the secondary. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the defensive line. If the defensive line does what they're supposed to do, the linebackers, it frees up the linebackers to do what they're supposed to do. So
and like Joel and I were talking, we talked about this the other night about how Schwartz's defense is built to sort of bend but not break, and allow kind of anticipating the offense, their opponent, eventually making mistakes, allowing.
Well, it's built on pressure. There's an old football saying, pressure. Let's see how it goes. Coverage creates sacks. pressures creates interceptions and incompletions.
Right.
And that's an old school philosophy when it comes to football. And I think that's what Schwartz wants to do. They did an amazing drill. I don't know if you saw it on social media. They put two defensive linemen against each other, and they'd snap the ball, and whoever hit the pad first was the winner. And they did it with all these pairings, Smith and Garrett, and they did it.
Oh, that's what they were doing there? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to be off the ball quicker than they were last year.
I got
on the defensive line. I like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That helps.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, Steve, I think we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. This is a good chance to take kind of regroup. We're going to actually be after the break. Steve and I were talking off air about Cleveland Browns and our some movies and some things, and getting us kind of in the fever for the Brown season coming up. And so we're going to talk about one of those movies that maybe you've already watched a time or two. So we're going to take this quick break. This is the Fanatical Elfz show, part of Fans First Sports Network. We'll be right back. Okay, folks, we are back. We are the Fanatical Elfz show, part of the Fanatical Elfz Network and Fans First Sports Network. I'm John Suchan, and we've got Steve Gill here, a great contributor to our network, and we just appreciate everybody again coming along. We gave away 2 free tickets last week, and so happy for the gentleman that won those tickets. He's a diehard Browns fan. Actually lives on the other side. I think he's talked to me the other day, and he's up there in Canada. And so he's going to be coming down for that game in week 4 against the Baltimore Ravens. Shared with him where the seats were. So we've got a great location for those seats, and it's likely that we're going to be giving those seats away again at another future trivia contest. We might do some things a little differently next time, but we really appreciate you spreading the word about our podcasting. If you are a Browns fan, please share the Fanatical Elfz Network with your fellow Browns fans. Tell them to tune in once or twice. Check us out. We've got a lot of great contributors from myself and Steve here, the left guard Joel, and then Elliot, and we've got Rod Bloom and BP up in Pepper Pike. We also get a lot of support from Cleveland Sports Talk and the network itself, the Fanatical Elfz, or the Fans First Sports Network. Fans
First Network.
Yes. I don't know if you guys can see this. I got my dog, Rufus, in the back. So he's moving around.
A dog named Rufus?
I know. We've got a dog named Rufus. Hey, that's not my. No, I married into the family. So, you know.
Oh, okay.
My beautiful wife, Laura, and her children had, when we first met, he was a little puppy named Rufus. So it's good because Grant Man, many of you, if you listen to my other Johnny Cleveland podcast, I'm going to move this so that Rufus isn't exactly in the screen.
It doesn't hurt to have a dog on the show.
Well, John. That's true. Well, he's turned the other way, and he's up on the couch. I would hate for anything.
You don't want like a Baker Mayfield podcast type situation.
Right. I'm thinking
dog was rolling over on the couch. I understand.
Yeah, he's a little too comfortable back there. But anyway, so okay, Steve. We were talking about kind of getting us into the fever and the flavor of the Browns coming back, and not sure on their schedule. I know they work out in Greenbrier, West Virginia. Is that
July 22nd? That's a Saturday. That's when they show up there. They'll come into Berea a couple days ahead of time. I think the 19th or the 20th.
Okay.
Physicals and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So we've got
Make sure everybody's been a good boy while they were on vacation.
Oh, speaking of vacations, you maybe heard Joel and I talking about this because we were saying how, well, at least if they don't go off and, go crazy and go to Vegas like one of our former quarterbacks used to do a lot and party. But our quarterback currently, Deshaun Watson, was in Turkey, which I just thought was just funny as all get out. at the Premier Soccer games and was he on Instagram like, dude's in Turkey. So,
Well, got to burn through some of that money, John. He's also in Paris.
yes, he went to Paris too. Oh man.
Yeah, but he's also going to get the players together in the off season.
Good.
Before they head up to West Virginia, which I love to hear.
Yeah, and you know, Steve, you and I have talked about this too, and the other colleagues of ours. You know, it just seems like the Browns. I mean, there's a good vibe. You know, most teams.
Yeah,
there
is.
But I think for the Browns, I think this is all these things are pointing in the right direction. It's not like our team has. Yes, we under 500, and yes, we've talked about it. You've talked about it. I've talked about it. The Browns need to get that turned around so they're more positive and not always under 500. But they are winning. They aren't where they were several years ago with the great, horrible Hugh Jackson. And, you know, things are going the right direction. I know I heard Joel and Elliot this morning talking about that continuity and looking at other programs like the Steelers. And I know we don't like to talk about the Steelers on this show, but, you know, Mike Tomlin and all these coaches have been around a while. You know, if the Browns are willing and able to do that and keep Stefanski, you are building a singular message from a group of coaches that are preaching the same things and trying to get that buy-in. And those things are all good.
It's very important. All the other three teams in the AFC North. I mean, you know, Harbaugh's been there. The guy up in Cincinnati, whatever his name is, I don't like
Taylor?
him too much.
Zach Taylor?
Zach Taylor, yeah, I know. I don't like saying his name. He's a little bit of a blowhard. But anyway, and of course, Tomlin, they've been in this situation, and their owners didn't panic, and they didn't fire him. And Cincinnati, since 2019, has a worse record than the Browns. So
really?
So it's good. Continuity is always good. And the only thing you said the vibe was different, and that's what I got. I'm cautiously optimistic. I know I'm a Browns fan. I've been kicked in the nether regions many times by this team, but I just get a different feel for it. Mm-hmm. That's why I can't wait for training camp. I want to see how that feels.
Sure.
I mean, just by what they're doing in the practices is it says a lot. Here in Nashville, the Titans, and one of the veteran sports guys who covers them said he's never seen this drill before. The wide receivers preventing a defensive back from getting an interception.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a drill like that before?
No. So you're like wasted.
So they're throwing the ball at a big dummy, and the wide receivers got to jump in and bat the ball down. Yeah, let's just focus on the wide receivers catching the ball. That's their job. Why would you practice that? Oh, that's right. They have Will Levis and Malik Williams and Ryan Tannehill. Okay, that explains a lot. But anyway.
Well, so before the break, I mentioned we were discussing off air a movie that we kind of get ourselves in the groove. And what movie is that, Steve?
Oh, Draft Day. Draft Day. I mean, on social media, they're slowly showing how different teams handle different situations while they were on the clock. And I thought, I got to watch that again. Yeah. Because Mike Tannenbaum said that, you know, besides all the romantic stuff and the personality stuff, the scenes in the draft room were very accurate to the way they were. And so I thought, well, I got to watch that again. And sure enough, you know, they're always looking at the clock and, you know, they're talking about the deal and, you know, what can we get for that? Could we ask for more? And you know, it's kind of like the movie Draft Day. And I'm sitting there going, okay, all right. I hope they put more on social media before training camp starts. I want to see these. I don't care what team it is. I want to see it.
In that movie that came out when, tell me if I'm wrong here, but Johnny Manziel and oh gosh, it's who's the other kid that was here for a while? The Browns had as their veteran quarterback in real time. Who did Johnny Manziel go in for? Who am I? I can't think of the.
I can't think of it.
Quarterback trap. Anyway, but the movie itself, like Draft Day, they kind of make that almost part of the movie. If you,
I know,
you
got the veteran who got hurt,
right, and you got the cocky,
he's rehabbed,
right,
and he wants to win. Then you got the guy, the surefire can't miss, that nobody can find anything wrong with him, and everybody's going, "Did you find something? Why did you trade that pick? Did
Brian
you find
Hoyer.
something?"
Brian Hoyer,
yeah.
We should know that. I mean, that season, you probably recall this. We're talking about our Cardiac Kids history moments here, but that year when Hoyer was doing a really decent job, I think
Shanahan was our offensive coordinator.
The team got to a record of like 7-4, I want to say.
Yeah.
And they beat.
And then Ray the farmer said, you got to play Manziel more.
Oh, but then at the same time, it's funny because I go back and I even look and I'm reminded by my fellow relatives, cousins, friends, I would post stuff back then on social media because we were at the time, there was this real push for Manziel, not just from, Ray Farmer, but there were knucklehead fans like myself who would get pissed off with what Hoyer did or thinking that it was bad. And we were pushing for Manziel, which was dumb considering the Browns had a winning record and everything. So it's just interesting to look back at it because we really were dealing with a situation that fortunately now, like Deshaun Watson, the traveler to Turkey and France, he's a good quarterback. And we know that we know what we have. And that's part of this sort of good vibe because we're not dealing with, quarterback situation that we've gone through so many times since 99 on this list of 30 some quarterbacks. It really does feed into the mental state of us fans.
It does. It wore on me. I didn't want him to draft him. He was a great college quarterback, but and I'm no giant, but he's a shrimpy. That's what I call the short quarterbacks they always draft. Baker was a shrimpy. You got to have a big quarterback in this league now. So
how is Baker? Have you seen any footage on? I saw some footage a little bit from the Buccaneers. He's down there in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I can't. I don't know who's going to win the NFC South. I think just at the end of the year they're going to flip a coin. Draw straws. You're the winner,
right?
Because the Saints and their collection of former Buckeyes, and then you got Carolina with a 5'8" quarterback who looks like he just got out of high school. And then Tampa, and then you've got who else is in? Oh, Atlanta, which I have no idea what they're doing.
I still can't believe we lost that game last year against the Falcons. They ran that ball. Marcus
Mariota threw 7 passes.
Yeah, they just ran the ball the entire second half, and
why not? We couldn't stop the run.
It was like anybody who want to run the ball and go for 25 yards. Here's the ball.
I know. Hopefully we fix that with our big uglies that we got, Tomlinson and Ika, and I think a very surprised candidate to make this team, if he's healthy, Maurice Hurst.
Okay. Yeah.
He's probably the second or third best defensive lineman on this team in talent. He has the ability. He's just never had the availability. And, they'll probably keep 9 defensive linemen, tackles and edge. That's what they usually do. I think they're going to line Zadarius Smith up.
So
inside a little more.
The final, the 4 on the line. Who do you like? I heard some things. Last week they were putting Smith, Garrett, Tomlinson, and the double O squared. I can't pronounce the kid's name.
Okonkwo.
Yeah, they had the 4 of them on the field.
Okonkwo.
I'm not even going to try to say it. So they had those four.
That
Four
was their
guys.
first lineup. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was their first lineup.
Do you see that is? I mean, would that be what you see happening on week one?
I could see Perrion Winfrey lining up inside.
Mm-mm.
You want to create. He wants to create pressure. They're going to stop the run. You create pressure, and Smith. I mean, I don't know how this guy playing linebacker. He's huge. I mean, he's almost as big as Garrett, and Garrett is a man mountain.
Yeah.
So that shows you how big they are. I could see that. Yeah, I could see him lining up.
There was an article
Inside.
on the offensive side of the ball. There was somebody on the Athletic, Zach Jackson, wrote today about how he predicted Darden, the wide receiver, would make it
beat out Bell,
second round
David
pick
Bell.
last year. I just think that's absurd.
I don't know. David Bell will get his touches. The problem with Darden is he can also return punts and kicks. Now they have Hakeem Grant, but Hakeem Grant doesn't have any guarantees in his contract. Everybody's got to remember this.
Yeah,
if you have a guaranteed contract, well, right now 46 players have guarantees in their contract. Sure, they could cut them. You know, guaranteed money turns into dead money. It's like credit card interest. As long as it's manageable, you don't, get too overly excited. And right now they got like 16 million in dead money. That's no big deal. But 46 of the 53 have guarantees. So you can pretty much pencil them in. You know, we talked last week about them redoing Harrison Bryant's. Well, they also redid Jordan Elliott's and gave him more guaranteed money.
Yes.
So he might. I got a feeling that Jim Schwartz likes Jordan Elliott.
Well, and
now he's pretty much a roster lock, barring injury, a roster lock.
Well, Elliott, Jordan Elliott's that signing went really unnoticed by majority of the fan base. So if you're tuning in and listening to this, Jordan Elliott, defensive end for the Brownies, redid his deal. And I was reading up about it a little bit, but he went with the guaranteed money, but it was less than he would have.
It gave him more cap space. Both of them about $1 million. They're about at 16.8 right now. Yeah,
I agree. I think that's a really good, and it went kind of untalked about.
Unless you go to over the cap twice a day, I go once a day. If you go 2 or 3 times, that's how fans noticed it. People who I follow on Twitter who are big cap guys, they noticed it. And they said, wait a minute, his contract's different. They got more money. They got more cap room. And then they just go down the players list and you can see where the change is.
Well, I like the moves that we're making. I think I
do too.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make any more moves unless there's an injury.
So let me just just one more thing before we finish up here. Jerome Ford, we talked about Jerome Ford earlier. So there's some folks out there that are saying, well, Robinson, former back, I think Jacksonville, is available. And we've talked many times on this show and other shows about those free agent running backs, even Kareem Hunt's still out there. The idea that the Browns still have this cap space, the idea that, we should still bring in some sort of veteran to go with Nick Chubb. But like we already talked about with Jerome Ford and, the upside there and the potential, we haven't seen it yet. So I agree with you. I like the idea of giving Jerome Ford really that second fiddle. Just so you don't see the Browns investing.
The third guy from UCLA. He doesn't have any guaranteed money, but he is a buried draft pick. So he could potentially get cut and they sign somebody. They're going to carry 3 running backs. They got to carry 3 quarterbacks because Dorian Thompson-Robinson will never make it to the practice squad. Somebody will pick him up. So they carry 2 and then they stash 1 on the practice squad. They're going to have to carry 3 quarterbacks. So that takes away 1 less guy from the offensive 25. They usually carry 3 tight ends. They usually carry 3 running backs. They usually carry how many offensive linemen? 2 centers, 2 tackles, 2 guards on each side. So, it comes down to a numbers game with the wide receivers. That would leave 6. And you pretty much got your 6 with Tillman as the draft pick, Bell, Marquise Goodwin, Cooper, Elijah Moore. So, you pretty much got your 6. That's where this Jalen Darden, and I understand while this gentleman wrote about this, because he had an outstanding camp and he can return punts and kicks. So, but I just can't see him getting rid of David Bell.
Yeah, no,
I can't.
No, not at all. No. Well, Steve, I appreciate you coming on tonight. This is our Fanatical Elfz show, part of our Fanatical Elfz network.
Yeah,
Steve, I'm so excited, Steve, that you're going to be coming on with this new show. We're going to call it Dog Pound
South. Unlike all you other gentlemen, I don't live in Ohio. I don't live in Cleveland. I live in another NFL city. I can look at this team from an outside looking in type situation. So I don't have the local media and they're, bombarding you with all their opinions and what they think and what they see. I'll listen to a Cleveland radio station while I work just to get breaking news or anything like that. But, I form my own opinion on what I see and what I read and what I hear.
Well, you're an excellent writer, and you're gonna have an excellent podcast. So we can't wait to have that.
I can't wait to get started on the Fanatical Elf Network.
Well, we appreciate you, Steve. Thanks for coming on the show tonight, everybody.
My pleasure, John.
You're welcome. Tune in this Sunday. We'll have our Any Given Sunday kickoff show where we talk about all this great stuff that our shows are doing, and Steve's going to be coming out with his new Dog Pound South show. And we're going to, have a great week. We got lots of more things to talk about next week. I'm sure there'll be more news. There always is if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. So
let's hope there isn't a lot of player news.
No. I'll see if I can go to France.
Go to France. Go to Turkey.
That's right. Turkey, yes. All right, but thanks again, everybody, for listening to the Fanatical Elfz Show. Take care. See you next time. Go Brownies.
Go Browns.
We got sirens over here. We got, before we leave, we have this fire truck station that's right down the street from us. It's great. It's a great location. It always, my son Grantman, my sidekick, is always in tune with the jump into the window or to go out on the deck. All right, guys, take care.
All right.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.